When you pray in tears and feel like no one hears you, it is not an accident. God is using those tears to tell you something almost no one understands. Stay here, don't scroll away. Don't click off this message. What you are about to hear can forever change the way you see your pain, your prayers, and the silence around you when everyone is asleep and the only sound is your heart crying for help. Picture that scene you know all too well. The room dimly lit, the door closed, the world seemingly calm, but inside you, nothing is quiet. The noise of the day has faded, but your thoughts keep pounding. You check your phone out of habit. There's no message you were hoping for, no solution, no answer. You put it down. You take a deep breath. You try to organize your thoughts to talk to God, but when you finally try to say something, your words fall apart. And the only thing that starts to come out are tears. These are tears that burn. Tears loaded with exhaustion, disappointments, fears you don't share with anyone. Sometimes you try to swallow them because you think you shouldn't feel this way. Sometimes you wonder if God gets tired of seeing you cry over the same thing. Sometimes you feel ashamed to cry like that in front of Him, as if your tears were a sign of weak faith. But listen closely. Your tears are not shameful. Your tears are not a nuisance. Your tears are not a spiritual failure. Your tears are a language, and God understands that language better than anyone. If you're listening to this right now, it's not a coincidence. Out of all the videos, out of all the distractions, out of everything else you could be doing, you're here, with these words reaching you in the very season where you've been crying the most, without even knowing why. That already says a lot. That is already an answer. It's as if God took you by the hand in the middle of the night and said, "Sit down, listen. I need to explain to you what you haven't understood about your tears. First, understand something deep. When you cry while you pray, you are not talking to the wall. You are not throwing words into the air. You are not doing something useless. Every tear that falls in that moment carries weight. Every tear carries a story. Every tear has a reason behind it, and God knows that reason completely, even when you yourself can't explain it. There are tears that come from being tired of fighting so much and feeling like nothing changes. Tears for people you love and don't know how to help. Tears for doors that slam shut. Tears because of words that wounded you. Tears for your own mistakes you still haven't forgiven yourself for. Tears for situations you don't understand, for promises you feel haven't arrived. Tears without a name, just a knot in your chest that breaks open before God. While you think you're just crying, God is reading everything your mouth can't put into words. When you fall to your knees, or simply bow your head with your heart in pieces, God does not step back. He does not move away. He does not look at you with disappointment. On the contrary, He draws near. This is one of the most important messages your tears are carrying. Every time you cry while you pray, God is coming close to your pain in a special way. Many people think God is only present when we're strong, stable, confident, with everything under control. But it's in your vulnerability that His presence becomes even more real, even if you don't always know how to recognize it. Think about those times when you finished crying and felt a strange calm. It's not that everything was suddenly fixed. The debts were still there, the problems were still there, the loneliness was still there. But something appeared inside you, a small rest, a strength you didn't have a few minutes before. That peace you can't explain did not come from you. It did not come from your logic. It did not come from your control. It was God's silent response to those tears. Your tears are a bridge. They are not the end of the road. They're the moment when you stop pretending to be strong and start being honest. And God 1,000 times prefers your broken honesty over your perfect performance. I want you to stay a few minutes more, because what comes next is key. Don't switch away. Don't leave this halfway. Your tears don't just mean "I'm not okay." They mean several things God is trying to tell you, and if you understand them, you'll stop seeing your dark nights as punishment and start seeing them as a conversation. When you cry while you pray, God is first telling you you are not alone. You've felt like no one understands you. like no one notices what you're carrying, like if you said everything that's inside, you'd scare people away. But while you think that, there is someone who has already seen every scene in full detail. He was there when you were hurt, when they betrayed you, when your trust was broken, when you lost what you loved, when you failed and blamed yourself more than anyone else would have. He did not show up late in your story. He has been there the whole time, even in the chapters you try to erase. Your tears are proof that your heart has not turned completely to stone. And God draws near to that sensitive heart, not to judge you, but to hold you with truth. When you cry in prayer, He is telling you, I see you. I hear you. You are not invisible. You are not shouting into nothing. You are not a burden. Second, when you cry while you pray, God is healing you. Even if you don't notice it, every time you break down in front of Him, part of the poison inside you starts to leave. There are things you kept for years, memories you never shared, wounds you hid behind, it's fine, I'm over it, fears you disguised with jokes, guilt you buried under work, tasks, noise. Your tears before God are like a key opening a room that's been locked for a long time. And yes, that hurts. It hurts to look at what you've avoided, but it's a pain that cleanses. That's why many times after crying, you don't just feel sadness. You feel tired, but also like you let something go. Sometimes you can't even name what you released, but you know you're not exactly the same. That is a clear sign that God is using that moment to heal what you didn't even know how to touch. Third, your tears are an act of surrender. No speeches, no impossible promises, no perfectly crafted phrases. They are the most honest way of saying, I can't do this on my own anymore. I've done everything I thought I could. I've tried to hold everything up by my own strength. And now I need someone stronger to step in. God does not despise that surrender. It is not weakness. It is your greatest moment of clarity. While many are proud of not needing anyone, you dare to say to God, I need you. And that confession opens doors that pride keeps shut. Your tears in His presence make room for Him to enter places where before you kept Him at the edge. But there is something deeper. Through your tears, God is also correcting your direction. And this is where many don't understand what is happening inside them. You felt out of place in environments where you used to feel comfortable. Things you once tolerated now unsettle you. Conversations, atmospheres, habits that felt normal before now feel heavy. And many of your tears have come after being in places that don't do you good, with people who don't take care of you, in decisions that deep down you know are stealing your peace. Don't ignore that. Your tears are also an alarm. God is showing you, here you don't belong, here you are losing yourself, here you're giving away your value, here you're accepting less than what I see in you. Don't just cry to let it out and then go right back to the same place that is breaking you. Listen to what that weeping is exposing. There are relationships that won't break until you clearly see how much they are hurting you. There are habits you won't leave until you admit how empty they leave you. There are paths you won't abandon until you realize your tears are more frequent every time you stay there. When you cry before God and feel that inner discomfort, it's not always because He has moved away. Many times, it's because He is calling you to step out of what is harming you. He is saying, I don't want to see you crying over something that was never your destiny. Your tears, then, are not only comfort, they are direction. In the middle of this process, there's a question that hits your mind hard. If God sees my tears, if He counts them, if He understands them, why doesn't He change everything immediately? Why does this situation continue? Why doesn't that door open? Why doesn't that person come back? Why doesn't this problem I've prayed about so much finally get resolved? Listen to this carefully. Your tears are not a trick to force God's hand. They are not a transaction. It's not that the more you cry, the more obligated He is to do what you want. God does not respond to manipulation. He responds from love, from truth, from what He sees in the long run. And many times, your tears are aligning you to His will, not forcing Him to fulfill yours. Sometimes you are asking for something that would hurt you even more than what you're already carrying. You're asking Him to keep someone who is draining you. You're asking Him to make something work that was built on lies. You're asking him to revive a chapter that has already ended. You're asking for shortcuts that pull you away from your real purpose. God hears your words, but he also hears your wounds. And when he chooses not to give you exactly what you're asking for, it's not because he ignores your tears. It's because he understands them so deeply. He refuses to add more pain to the pain you already have. That's why some answers feel like silence. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he is arranging something bigger than what you can see. His timing is not slowness, it is precision. His pauses are not abandonment, they are protection. And in those pauses is where your tears seem the most pointless. But that is where they carry the greatest value. Every time you cry before God and still choose not to give up completely, even when you feel like you can't take it anymore, you are saying something incredibly powerful without realizing it. I'm still here. I'm still coming to the right place. I'm still believing, even if my faith feels small. And that faith, even when to you it feels almost gone, is real to him. I want you to do something very simple but very important. As you're listening to this, recognize inside yourself if what you're living matches these words. If you've cried in silence, if you've felt your tears were useless, if you've thought God is tired of you, stay a little longer. Don't shut this down now. Don't walk away right when he is bringing clarity to what has been confusing you for so long, because there's something else you need to hear. Your tears are building a future you cannot see yet. Yes, you heard that right. What now is weeping can become one day part of a story that holds others up. Your nights, those nights when you hug your pillow and beg for a sign, can become the place from which one day you'll tell someone, I've been exactly where you are, and it was not the end. When you place your tears in God's hands, they do not only bring comfort to you, they give you authority to lift others up at the right time. Not all pain comes from God. Not every hard situation is sent by him, but nothing you surrender to him loses its value. He can take what today feels like ruins and make it part of your purpose. He can turn your tears of shame into tears of gratitude. He can turn broken prayers into words that heal others. And in that process, your tears stop being a symbol of defeat and become a sign of transformation. Now here's something that maybe no one has told you this clearly. God does not get tired of you. He does not get tired of hearing you cry over the same things. He does not get tired of your attempts. He does not get tired of your inner battles. He does not get tired of your slow process. That thought, I must have bored him already, does not come from him. It comes from the rejection you've lived through with people who did get tired, people who did leave, people who did minimize your pain. God is not like that. When you come to him crying again and again, he doesn't see empty repetition. He sees perseverance. He sees a heart that, even confused, keeps coming back to the right source. And that moves him more than you imagine. I want to take you back for a moment to that specific scene that marked you. That night when something inside you felt more broken than ever. Maybe you were in your room, maybe in a bathroom, maybe in some small space where no one could see you. And you said something like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. If you're there, please do something with me. That phrase, mixed with your tears, did not disappear into the air. It was heard. Maybe you didn't see a big miracle the next day. Maybe there were no dramatic changes. But that was a turning point. From there, you started to feel things you didn't feel before, to question things you used to accept, to look for deeper answers. That was the moment your tears began to speak louder than your masks. And now you're here, hearing words that confirm what your soul already suspected, that those tears were not a wasted scene. They were a conversation. That's why today, instead of being ashamed of those tears, I want you to recognize them for what they are, an open door. A door to lay down burdens that are destroying you. A door to stop fighting alone. A door to let God's voice be louder than the voices that have crushed you for years. Take a moment inside, right now. Think of what's weighing on you the most. Give it a name inside you. That situation, that guilt, that fear, that loneliness, that dependency, that memory. And as you see it clearly, hand it over. You don't need a perfect sentence. Something as honest as, God, here it is. I can't handle this. I give it to you. Help me is enough. That simple act done with real tears carries more weight than you think, because it's not a performance. It's truth. I also want to speak to that part of you that feels unworthy of coming close. That part that thinks you've messed up too much, that you stayed away too long, that you played with chances, that you hurt people, that you failed. And so, when you cry while you pray, you think it doesn't count, that you have no right, that your tears are hypocritical. But remember this, if God only welcomed people who never fail, no one could come near. Your tears are not fake just because you have a past. Your tears are a sign that you still feel, that you haven't surrendered to numbness. That inner struggle between who you've been and who you long to be is exactly where God wants to meet you. Not to crush you, but to raise you up while you cry, saying, I'm not worthy, he is saying, I'm still waiting for you. Don't ignore that call. If this message is describing what you're living, do something concrete so you don't just let it pass. When this ends, take a moment alone. Don't run straight back into the noise. Stay in the silence for a bit and repeat this truth inside you. My tears have an answer. They are not lost. They are not ridiculous. They are being heard, and if you need a visible sign, a reminder for when you feel on the edge again, write it somewhere you'll see it. My tears before God are not in vain. Every time you feel like you've come back to that same place, look at it and remember what he's telling you today. I also want to invite you not to walk through this completely alone. There are so many people like you, crying in silence, praying without telling anyone, carrying intense stories behind strong smiles. When you share what God is doing in you, even if it's just a few words, you're also reminding yourself that you're not the only one. If this message touched your heart, you can leave it written somewhere. A simple, I'm not alone. God spoke to me here. Now I understand my tears can be a light for someone else who reads it and thinks, if he or she is going through this too, then I am not alone. It's not about views. It's about purpose. Your words can be part of the answer someone else is asking God for today. And if you choose to stay close to this space, don't do it like you're just consuming another piece of content. Do it like someone who has found a family of real people, people who feel, who cry, who struggle, but who also believe that God is still speaking in the middle of all this chaos. This is not about hiding pain. It's about learning to bring it to the right place. The next time you pray in tears, remember what you've heard today. Don't say, I'm failing again. Say, once again, I'm opening my heart where I'm supposed to. Don't think God is pulling away. Understand that he is drawing near. Don't believe your tears push him away. Recognize that they are often the clearest language he uses to show how closely he sees what is happening inside you. Your tears have an answer. Even if you can't see the whole picture yet, even if it still hurts, even if the nights are still long, nothing you are pouring out is falling into emptiness. There is a God who is closer to those tears than to any of your masks. A God who does not leave you alone in that dark room. A God who keeps working even when you think nothing is happening. Don't ignore him. Don't ignore what your tears are showing you. Don't ignore what God is whispering through them. And above all, don't ignore yourself. Don't minimize your own heart. Don't call yourself weak for feeling. Sensitivity is not your enemy. It is the place where God can touch you with the most truth. If you've made it this far, it's because deep inside you, there is more hope than you think. Hold on to that small spark. Come back to God with the same honesty with which you cry. And every time you do, remember these words. Every tear you shed while you pray is being seen, heard, and used to write something that one day you will thank him for. When this message ends, talk to him a little more. In your words, in your silence, in your tears. You don't need anything else to be heard.